This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
May the 26th be with you on a Tuesday afternoon. Welcome on in to Follow the Money. I'm Dustin Swedelson. That is John Jastremski. We got you covered in for Mitch and Paul today and tomorrow right here on VSiN, the sports betting network. Got a lot of fun lined up for you today as we've got a Game 5 in the NBA, Oklahoma City taking on the Spurs. We will go to Oklahoma and check in, lay of the land, how they're handling the injuries right now. We also have a potential sweep on the ice tonight after last night we had another overtime thriller in the Eastern Conference. We've got a full plate of baseball coming your way as well. But first, JJ and I, both New York Knicks fans, we have to open the show partying like it's 1999 because the New York Knickerbockers are back in the NBA Finals. And I got to tell you, man, it's a very surreal feeling. When you've been a Knicks fan and you've ridden this roller coaster where you're talking yourself into Ron Baker getting more minutes, you think Alonzo Trier could be someone that they develop as a role guy. You start to convince yourself of things that aren't real. So when you see a team as dominant as the Knicks have been here, on their path to winning the Eastern Conference, it is still very difficult for my brain to comprehend that the New York Knicks are a movement. They are a wagon, and they're going to carry a bunch of bandwagoners all the way to the finals. John, you're a Knicks fan like myself. Your thoughts of our team back in the finals?
It's surreal, Dusty. 27 years in the making, and a couple of different things here from a perspective standpoint. The end of Patrick Ewing, Game 6, Conference Finals 2000, until Jalen Brunson's arrival, the Knicks won single-digit playoff games in about a 20-year span. When you were to talk about the worst franchises over 20 years, post-Patrick, pre-Jalen Brunson, the Knicks were right at the top of basically every list you could find. And you documented it, whether it was the Lance Thomas, Ron Baker, Langston Galloway teams, Bargnani, Nate Robinson, David Lee. I mean, I could go on and on. The highlight of seasons would be trying to tank games to have a lottery pick or convincing yourself in the summertime that a particular superstar was going to go. And this is so much fun as a New York City kid is the idea that this is a team. This is not some sort of team that's a bunch of mercenaries being put together. This is not Miami circa 2010 where they go get LeBron James and Chris Bosh to put with Dwayne Wade, or the Nets, which failed miserably, and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. The Knicks built this from the ground up. They made shrewd roster moves. They were bold. They made an unpopular decision, in my opinion, a year ago, saying goodbye to Tom Thibodeau, and they have unbelievable leadership. They move the ball brilliantly, and it's no fluke that they've won 11 consecutive games, and their point differential, Dusty, is like 200 and something in that streak. So much for the advanced analytics for Kenny Atkinson telling you that Cleveland should have been up 2-1, whatever it was in the series. Take them and stick away to sun don't shine. Bottom line is this. Knicks got it humming, man. And that's why when we yesterday were doing this show, I told anybody who was willing to listen, get frisky with these alternate spreads. The Knicks kill everybody in these closeout games. You didn't need to just be comfortable and lay 1.5. You could have laid 5.5. You could have laid 8.5. You could have laid 10. Could have laid 20. And you would have had yourself a field day. My only regret, Dusty, I wish I would have laddered even more of those alternate spreads. They were a cash cow.
It was a killer. And analytically, according to Kenny Atkinson, the Cavs actually won the Eastern Conference. Just like analytically, I'm 220 pounds according to my measurements here. And when it comes to the analytics...
No, don't sell yourself short. You're looking good, Dusty. You're looking good. Come on now.
When it comes to the analytics, the only analytics that the Knicks built this team on was friendship and Jalen Brunson. You mentioned it with Brunson. I think that's the biggest thing here. To me, this is the modern-day Isaiah Thomas. I know he doesn't play the same way. I know it's not the same style because he's not the defender that Isaiah was. But when you talk about transforming an organization, taking on the identity of its leader, them just like never feeling out of it because he is so calm in these moments. He wants it. He wants the pressure. He thrives in it after we've seen so many stars not handle it well in New York. Jalen Brunson's just built different. And since he joined the Knicks, they've been a completely different team. And his ascension and the additions that they made along the way with Josh Hart and the trade of Cam Reddish and a first rounder for him that no one really thought would matter down the road, it has. The addition of Bridges, which I've not been a fan of in the regular season. Regular season doesn't matter. We no longer judge these teams on regular seasons. The 1 seed in the East, the Detroit Pistons, were not a part of the Eastern Conference Finals for a reason. The New York Knicks are in the finals. You touched on it. Average margin of victory, 23.8 points over this 11-game straight-up winning streak. They're 10-1 against the spread, a plus 271-point differential. Longest win streaks in the NBA in a single postseason. The Warriors are number one at 15 in 2017. The 99 Spurs had 12. The 01 Lakers had 11. The 89 Lakers had 11, and these Knicks have 11. And we have 3 of those teams hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of those seasons. When you look at what the Knicks are doing right now and potentially waiting on the winner of the Spurs and the Thunder, at this point, I can't believe I'm saying this. Is there a world where the Knicks would rather see the Thunder than the Spurs, just based on some of the injuries that are happening on their side of things?
I'm not there, Dusty. I'm not there. And that's maybe a tease of what's to come for our Game 5 preview in the Western Conference Finals. But the reason why I would prefer playing San Antonio if I'm the Knicks, a couple of different reasons. Number one, San Antonio is not as deep a team as the Thunder. They're just not. They're not as deep a team, and that can end up being problematic over the course of a 7-game series. Number two, there's an experience factor with OKC. They were down 2-1 in a hostile environment in Indiana in a Game 4. They had a win at Game 7 of the finals. They played 10 zillion playoff games basically over the last 2.5 years. San Antonio is brand spanking new in the postseason. I know Wemby's unbelievable. I know Vassell is hitting all these threes. Harper, Castle, all the youth, all the energy. Yeah, all well and good. How's this young Spurs team going to respond if they're down 2-1 in a series and they got to play a Game 4 at Madison Square Garden? Like, these are the sort of questions that you have because they've never been to the top of the mountain before. And we've seen Oklahoma City do it just a year ago, for goodness sakes. And I'll throw one more wrinkle in there. I don't get nuts about regular season because I could give you the Knicks and the Celtics a year ago as the perfect example of this. Knicks couldn't beat the Celtics in any of the matchups. They played in the second round series. The Knicks won in 6 games. So you want to tread lightly, but I saw Oklahoma City have a lot more answers than the San Antonio Spurs had heads up. So when you add all 3 of those parts to the equation, you're asking me who I'd rather see the Knicks play? Tough opponent either way. Going to be an underdog either way. I think you got a better chance of winning the series if it's San Antonio. But, Dusty, one more note on this, because I was guilty of this too. I want to make sure I'm abundantly clear. And we have time to make our NBA Finals predictions. Got to see who the opponent is. Got to see where my mind, my body, my spirit is at on Sunday or Monday. But at the beginning of the postseason, I would have said there's no way in the world the Knicks or any Eastern Conference team had a prayer against whoever comes out of the West. That they were basically just going to be a sacrificial lamb. After what the Knicks have done here, 11 straight, the margin of victory, the style, the brand of basketball that they are playing, I think you have to reconsider that and look at the futures markets, Dusty. They have, because the Knicks are starting to get a little bit more respect.
No, 100%. And the climb matters. So I'm with you. I'd rather see the Spurs, not because I think the Knicks are better than the Spurs, but I think in the NBA, we've seen it time and time again. You have to get knocked off on your way up to eventually get over the mountaintop. For example, did you know the last 4 Eastern Conference champs have lost the Eastern Conference final in the year prior? So last year,
wow, that makes sense. That makes sense. Miami did it. Boston did it. Indiana did it. I'm missing one.
Yeah, and now the Knicks. The Knicks lost.
Now the Knicks. There you go.
So you think about the way this team has improved. You think about the way it's everything Jalen Brunson. By the way, he only had 15 points in a blowout win. It's not just Jalen Brunson. It's just when you have that guy that everyone has to focus on, it opens up opportunities. And guys like OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, they're thriving in this offense right now. And I go back and look because a lot of people are going to bring up the Knicks' path. The Eastern Conference is weak. Who did they really go through? Let's be crystal clear here. The Philadelphia 76ers, they beat the Boston Celtics. That's how they got to them. It was still a team that had plenty of talent that people were thinking could upset the Knicks. The Knicks won that series. Cleveland, kind of same deal. I know they struggled a bit with Detroit. They got past them and people said, hold on, Cavaliers are a loaded roster. They were built for this. the Knicks got past them. Every time I keep hearing along the way that someone has a Jalen Brunson stopper. Dyson Daniels didn't do it. VJ Edgecombe didn't do it. Dean Wade was completely irrelevant. Jalen Brunson did whatever he wanted here, and he is the reason why you can't doubt the New York Knicks. Simple as that. You cannot doubt him because from the second he arrived at Madison Square Garden, he's taking this team to a different level. And I'm with you. I initially, and I was saying it here on the network, I was saying, you know what? The Western Conference Final, that's the NFC title game from this past year. That was the Rams. That was the Seahawks. Winner of that wins the Super Bowl. I'm backing off of that now. And that's not just being a Knicks fan. That's legitimately watching a team that you can make the case, not just postseason, maybe any 11-game run we've seen in recent memory, perhaps the hottest team we've ever seen at any point in time in the NBA in the last 5, 6, 7 years, over 11 games.
Dusty, it's funny you mentioned Isaiah Thomas with Jalen Brunson. I look at this Knicks team, and I think the way they're built, it's obviously a different NBA to where it was in the early 2000s to where it is right now. Don't you get 2004 Piston vibes from this team? The collective unit, 5 deep, made the coaching change going from to Mike Brown. That's what Leon Rose and Worldwide West wanted to draw up, I think, when they built this team a couple of years ago. That's the vibe I'm getting. 2004 Pistons, if we're talking about them as a champion.
It's crazy. We talk about the East being wide open. 10 different teams have won the East since the Knicks last won the conference in 99. And remember, that's LeBron dominating with Cleveland and Miami for a long stretch of time. But here they are. The Knicks are back in the finals. We will find out very soon who they will face. They will have a rest advantage once San Antonio and OKC get done. But that's where we're going next. The Oklahoma City Thunder. They're dealing with injuries. They're looking for secondary scoring. We will break down Game 5 on the other side, and I'll explain to you why. I am not nervous about the Thunder tonight. Going back home, right here on Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Back here, Follow the Money. Dustin Swedelson alongside John Jastremski. We got you covered here for the next couple days on FTM. Coming up bottom of the hour, we go to Oklahoma City. Berry Tramel's been covering this team since its inception. His thoughts on this pivotal Game 5. Is it fair to say whoever wins this series you feel like is in the driver's seat tonight, JJ?
And that's usually the way Game 5 works. Now, that said, could Oklahoma City go and win Game 6 on the road? They can. Like, the way I would look at this series, and I don't know if you feel this way, Dusty. If the Spurs want to win, I feel like the Spurs have to get Game 5. My gut is this young team is not going on the road and winning a Game 7 in Oklahoma City. So, from a San Antonio perspective, I think this is an absolute must for them if they want to win the series. I do think there's a world OKC wins Game 6 on the road and then wins a Game 7. So I wouldn't necessarily bury the Thunder if we see a loss later on tonight.
Yeah, I think this is probably the one team that you would think around NBA circles where if they were to lose a game like this, you would still believe they can find a way to win it, even if they don't have the advantage that they previously had, losing multiple games at home. And I would tell you this, the reason why I'm going to lay the 4.5 tonight, I know you like the Thunder as well tonight, is there was a shot of the broadcast after the last game. And it was them goofing around and joking around after the loss, lining up, packing up their things, going back business as usual. The Oklahoma City Thunder don't feel the pressure, which is kind of crazy because if you look back on this series, you can make a strong case that San Antonio's really dominated. A few big comebacks by Oklahoma City. They got to get off to a better start at home. That is a huge thing for them right now. But San Antonio's led this series for 109, almost 110 minutes, while Oklahoma City at about 75-28. There's a huge opposite, a contrast in terms of domination in this series. Yeah, here we are. We're still even up. And this feels like a situation going back home where we're looking for some help for SGA offensively. Someone should be able to step into the shoes of A.J. Mitchell, who's already been ruled out. But the big question remains, is J-Dub? Is Jalen Williams going to play in this game? Because his injury has now changed from a left hamstring to from soreness to a strain. And now he's had injuries to both of his hamstrings during this season. I don't know if he's going to give it a go. I don't know what he's going to look like if he plays. Do you believe the Thunder can find someone else to take the burden off of their MVP?
I do. Now, to make something clear, I don't think Williams is going to play Game 5.
I think
the next time we see Jalen Williams is the NBA Finals, if that. So I think there are serious reservations and concerns about his status moving forward. But I think from a positive on an Oklahoma City standpoint, when you look at these playoff games, role players, for whatever the reason, tend to be far more comfortable and far more at ease when they're playing in their home building. And that's why, like, just pinpointing a couple of Thunder guys specifically, Caruso, who had the monster game one.
Yep.
Are you going to be shocked if Caruso goes off? Jared McCain, who's had some moments throughout the postseason. Could McCain go off the way that he did in Game 2? Not going to be stunned there. That's the beautiful thing about the way Oklahoma City has built. SGA is their MVP. Yes, they're going to need him now more than ever. And I know we'll get into the Chet Holmgren subplot as far as trying to figure out, okay, Chet, how to get him going. Can you get Wemby out of his head? Role players, though, you'll get better performances out of the role players. They're not, let's put it this way, Dusty, there is no way in the world OKC is going to be as lousy and as pathetic offensively as they were in Game 4.
100%. If there was one of those guys that I was going to target, because to me, this is an opportunity, right? Whenever I look at betting NBA props, most people who follow me on Cashing Out when I was doing shows, especially the in-game stuff, I'd say 85% of my NBA player prop betting was literally a player is out, who benefits. That's it. Because the numbers are slow to adjust. And they're not always able to account for where that usage is going to go. Maybe it's points, maybe it's rebounds, maybe it's assists. But theoretically, if A.J. Mitchell's not playing, if J-Dub doesn't go tonight, someone is going to benefit. And the number's probably going to be a little bit off. I lean Alex Caruso. I think that's a dude with veteran experience. That's a guy who's been through this before. You're going to need him on the floor because of the defense and the versatility he brings on that end of things. But he's also a guy that you know can calm things down for your team. And I'm glad you brought up McCain, because McCain is someone I considered. I went to vsin.com/NBA props. You can see our Opta AI player prop projections. What I like to do is if I'm feeling someone that I like to bet over, under, whatever it may be, if they have a strong opinion, that helps put me over the top. Well, Opta AI talked me off of McCain. I was shocked to see the projections on him. First of all, his points prop, 11.5. They have him going for 3.78. That's 54.3% to the under. His rebounds, 2.5. They have him going for 0.91. That's 46.4% to the under. His assists, 1.5. They have him getting 0.53. That's 37.9% to the under. I was shocked. I'm not sure Opta AI always accounts for all the injury situations, but they are not high on McCain for this matchup in Game 5.
You know, McCain was a thought of maybe throwing him in.
I agree.
A couple of 3 points made. Maybe I was going to play his over for points. You might have took me out of that. If I could give you one from a player point standpoint, and it's going to be chalky and obvious, but just think narrative-wise.
Yep.
OKC without Williams. OKC without AJ. Trying to figure out who on the bench is going to go and step up. I mean, that's a puzzle in and of itself. This reeks of a monster SG.
100%.
Game on them, 30+ points at -122. I wouldn't hesitate on that one. I think SGA goes for 30+ with ease.
I'm with you. I think while we're trying to get cute here and look at all these secondary options, this feels like a game where SGA is living at the free throw line. And the real question becomes, what kind of whistle is he going to get? Because this is a big narrative now. This is a talking point, not just like in the hardcore NBA circles. It's starting to like branch out where the casuals are being involved, which means it feels like that gets to the top with Adam Silver. And you never know when they're going to like lay the law down of how we're going to adjust the whistle here. But it does feel like to me, if SGA is going to get that really good whistle at home, he's getting to the free throw line. He's probably getting like 12 to 15 points at the charity stripe. You're not looking for that much from the field. And I think he's going to have to take over by necessity because he doesn't have the trust factor in these other guys to come through. So I'm with you. I think it could be a big SGA tonight. I don't hate taking this point prop over either there. Now, on the other side, you've got a few guys, obviously Wemby. You just kind of chalk in that he's going to somehow dominate, put his fingerprints all over this game. But how about Dylan Harper? I feel like Dylan Harper needs to be the guy now. I know Castle had his moments. He had a surge last game, which really carried them a long way. But I'm looking at Dylan Harper, man. I kind of like him to go over 9.5 points. I think we're going to see some more lineups with him and Fox and Castle together on the floor because he just brings that versatility. He brings that ability and really gives you three guys who are not just shot makers, but shot creators for others. And I think if you're San Antonio, you need that ability on the floor against this team defense for the Thunder.
Dusty, I don't hate it. The only question I would have with Dylan Harper is the health and the overall idea that he can go and get through four quarters being at his very best. That's my only hesitation, because you'd say double-digit points, need a little bit more out of the talented youngster, and you get home with double-digit points. I'm looking at Vassell. That would be the guy I target for San Antonio.
I like it.
He has been shooting the lights out in these games. I mean, he's just been anytime it feels like San Antonio needs a big bucket, it's Wemby or it's Vassell. So 3-pointers made. Obviously, it's a point of emphasis. Obviously, Oklahoma City is a tremendous defensive team. They haven't been really able to take him away. 3+ made threes, 4+ made threes. I think it's another big-time night for him because at the very least, the volume is going to be there. That's the thing with Vassell. He is taking these 3-point shots. I like him 3+ made threes, a little over 120.
Number's been on the move today. It was 5.5 last night. We're looking at 4.5 right now with the Thunder favored. 217.5 is your total. So far this series, both teams 2-2 against the spread. We're 3-1 to the over thus far. San Antonio against OKC, 10-6 covering the first half number. The first half under is 10-6 going back to 2024. Mitch Johnson 4-0 to the over, though, when tied in a playoff series. Mark Daigneault 6-3 to the over in the conference finals. I kind of like the over here, but we're simpatico, my friend. Right now, my first play on this game is I am laying that 4.5 with the Thunder, and I believe you are as well.
Well, let's hope we have the same success that we had 24 hours ago with the Knicks, taking care of business against the Cavaliers. I just think this game is an overreaction in many ways to what people saw in Game 4. People are looking at the injuries for Oklahoma City. They're looking at the atrocious offensive performance. And all the narrative is, the Spurs found something here. Oklahoma City is really going to have a hard time scoring on this Spurs defense. You're going to see it again in Game 5. I just think being back on the home floor, different environment, better play out of the role players, monster day for SGA. Thunder -4.5 is the play in this one.
The clock is ticking for one of the best VSiN Pro offers of the year right now. It's your final week to get a full year of VSiN Pro access. $240 normally. It's now just $199. All you have to do is sign up now, and we'll give you 2 months for free. 14 months, VSiN Pro, less than 50 cents a day with the promo code PRO. Daily best bets from all the show, the Opta AI player prop projections we were just talking about, plus 24/7 live video on the VSiN Watch app and all of our betting guides for every major sports year. VSiN.com/subscribe. Use the promo code PRO. Offer expires May 31st. Are the Thunder panicking or are they calm in front of Game 5? We will go to Oklahoma City on the other side.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Dustin, Swedelson hanging out with you here. Follow the Money, VSiN, the sports betting network. Appreciate you making us a part of your day. However you may be tuning in, Sirius XM Channel 158, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, and radio affiliates across the United States of God Bless America. The New York Knicks, they've punched their ticket to the NBA Finals. We await who is going to win the West. In a series we all anticipated being epic, and thus far it's delivered. We've got a massive Game 5 in Oklahoma City tonight. The Thunder, 4.5-point favorites, down from the opener of 5.5. Your total right now sitting across the board at 217 and a hook. And to help us preview this game, we are going to Oklahoma right now, checking in with one of the great sports columnists in America. He is Berry Tramel. He has covered this team since the inception. He's covered Oklahoma sports for over 45 years, now at the Tulsa World. And Berry joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Berry, thanks for doing this. I know you got to get to the game tonight. So talk to me about where we stand right now. Series tied up at 2s. Do you sense any panic coming out of Oklahoma City or any concern with the injuries to Jalen Williams and A.J. Mitchell? But more importantly, with a San Antonio Spurs squad that is 6-3 straight up against them this year.
Yeah, no, it is. They're not panicked. They don't. Sam Presti's organization doesn't really panic, but it is a concern because Victor Wembanyama does something remarkable, which is he overshadows some of the good elements about this Spur team. I don't know that America knew how rugged defensively, like Steph Castle and Devin Vassell are. I mean, those are bulldogs out on the perimeter, similar to what the Thunder runs out there. And the Thunder has an offensive problem trying to score on Wembanyama and those guys out on the perimeter, especially since they're about the only true deficit in their roster is they really only had about 3 facilitators. And that's, of course, SGA, Jalen Williams, and A.J. Mitchell. And 2 of those guys were out the other night. Jalen Williams has only played 45 minutes in the entire series. Don't know yet if they'll play tonight. Seems unlikely. But if they don't, the Thunder, the load on SGA is immense because this is a defense that requires a lot of people to respond to it. And SGA is sort of a lone soldier at this point.
Yeah, and if Jalen Williams doesn't go, and you just said you don't think he's going to go tonight, who becomes the secondary scoring option? I know you wrote about Chet Holmgren over at the TulsaWorld.com, and the reality is this is a rivalry with Wembanyama that goes back a long time where Chet once had Wembanyama's number, and maybe that has motivated the Frenchman to take things to a new level. But if you were going to trust someone else in this lineup to give just some support offensively to SGA tonight, who would you turn to?
Well, I don't know that there's anybody to turn to. I think it's got to happen organically. We saw it the other night, Game 3, when the Thunder got down in the 15-0 hole, came back and, won going away, won by 15. But out of nowhere, Jared McCain goes 10 of 21 and scores 24 points or whatever it was. Isaiah Hartenstein was really the only thing they had going in Game 4 with those 4 floaters in the first 8 minutes. Holmgren needs to be the guy, but he's not a guy that you can, for all the good things he does, he's not a guy you can build an offense around. He's not. You can't throw him the ball and he produce his own shot necessarily. You can't run a lot of offense through him. So that's just sort of got to happen. But they really need the bench to play well. Alex Caruso had monster games. The first 3 games, didn't do much Game 4. They need Caruso to play well. They need Hartenstein to score. They need everybody. But first and foremost, they got to get SGA going. I mean, this is an offense that, has been relying on him for 30-point games for 4 years in a row, including in the postseason. So the Spurs are just making it terrible on him, and he may not be capable of getting there because when you got Castle and Vassell roughing you up outside and Wembanyama waiting for you in the paint, it's not the regular season anymore. Heck, it's nothing they faced last year in the playoffs, or anybody maybe in the history of the world has faced, considering Wembanyama. So it's a difficult assignment for SGA, but he's the MVP, 2-time MVP. That's his job. So we'll see how he does.
Berry Tramel is our guest, setting the scene for tonight. Game 5, Oklahoma City laying 4.5, hosting the Spurs. Total 217.5. Let's stay on SGA for a moment here, Berry, because it's become a national discussion. It's the style of play that the Thunder play with. It's getting to the free throw line. It's the foul baiting. Do you anticipate maybe the whistle changing to benefit them at home? Do you anticipate it being a rallying cry for the Thunder? How do you think that impacts this game in this series?
Well, you tend to get a better whistle at home. The Thunder roughed up Wembanyama pretty good in Game 2. That was in Oklahoma City. The Spurs roughed up SGA pretty good in Game 4. That was in San Antonio. That tends to the way it's gone in basketball since the Peach Basket days. So you would think that might happen. But, the Thunder can't count on it because, his foul shots are down from what he typically gets in the regular season. And that's to be expected, right? I mean, the playoffs, they always let you play more, and everybody is glad they did. What game was it the other night? Which one of those games? The third quarter, maybe game 3, I think. Third quarter. It was like an hour long. Each team shot like 17 or 15 foul shots in that quarter. Nobody wants to see that kind of basketball. So I hope we don't have too many whistles. But clearly, the Thunder need some to go their way. That's why you play all season. That's why. You play 82 games and hold off San Antonio for home court. So you get 2 of the last 3 at home when the series is tied 2-2.
Barry, outside of last year in the NBA Finals, we really haven't seen this group have to deal with too much adversity since they've become this monster over the last couple seasons here. Can you help us understand the personality of this team and dealing with what they're dealing with in terms of a challenge and adversity, not just on the floors in terms of the players, but also Mark Dagnall as a head coach and a leader? How do you believe they can handle the adversity of a difficult series here?
Well, I think they can do okay. I think they can do fine. They got the number 1 seed last year in the West, even though Chet Holmgren missed 50 games. They got the number 1 seed this year, even though Jalen Williams missed, I think it was 49 games or 47, whatever it was. They haven't had Jalen Williams, J-Dub, Santa Clara version of Jalen Williams. Haven't had him much this entire postseason. So they've sort of persevered through injuries and stuff. So, they've lost 3 game 1s in the last 2 playoffs. Denver, Indiana, and now San Antonio. They survived the other 2. Those 2 teams didn't have Wembanyama, but one of them had Jokic, which is no small thing. I mean, not that long ago, we thought Jokic was the one from outer space, not Wembanyama. So, they've handled some adversity pretty well. It's a pretty even-keeled organization. They don't get over their skis. So I think they'll handle it. In other words, if San Antonio wins this series, which they very well could, it's going to be because Victor Wembanyama and those other guys just were too difficult to defeat. I don't think the Thunder's going to collapse. I don't think the Thunder's going to go cuckoo. I think it's still going to be a great 3-game series, which is what we've got.
Barry, in about 1 minute here, what are your expectations for tonight with Oklahoma City coming back home and expectations, big picture with the series? Who winds up winning this thing?
Well, you always got to like the home team. If you watch the games, we've had a big-time blowout won by the Spurs, sort of a small-time blowout won by the Thunder, a couple of really tight games. One, the Thunder pulled it out in the last couple of minutes, and the other one, the Spurs pulled it out in double overtime. So it's been a very even series, not unlike the old Spur Thunder games from the previous generation, Duncan Durant, Ginobili, Westbrook, those kind of guys. So you got to like the home team, but the Thunder really needs to wear down Wembanyama. He looked tired in Game 3, not so much in Game 4.
He is Berry Tramel. You can read him now over at the Tulsa World and on X at Berry Tramel. Really appreciate you doing this tonight. You helped set the scene, and look forward to chatting, hopefully, on the Thunder, making it back to the finals here.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome stuff from Berry Tramel there. I mean, he knows the Thunder inside and out. He knows that area. He knows what they've been doing here for a while. And I think he brought up a good point. It was probably a bad job by me framing the question. This team has dealt with more adversity than I thought. After he listed off everything they went through, some of the injuries this year, a reminder about the Denver series going 7 a year ago, they have been able to withstand it, and that's why I do like the Thunder tonight. I think they're mentally made up not to panic. I don't think they're scared. I think they're going to step it up when they need to, but right now they're just kind of like a prize fighter. They're feeling out a young Spurs team, letting them show them their best shot, and then when they need to, I think the Thunder do come with the hammer in this series. JJ joins us back on the other side to look at some breaking news in the NBA, which absolutely shocked me.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Thanks for making us part of your day. However you may be tuning in, it's Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. That is John Jastremski. I'm Dustin Swedelson. We got a lot to get to over the course of the program tonight. We still have to hit baseball. I'm going to pepper JJ with a team that I think might be time to buy low on, just because they've had some dramatic flair in the winnings lately. Sometimes that can carry over. It can light a team and carry them the rest of the way. And I know it was a team he was high on coming into the season as well. We'll do that later on in the program, a little door one or door number two. We'll go to New York. We'll check in with a beat writer. Chris Persanian covers the New York Knicks for Clutch Points. Get his thoughts on where we stand with the Knicks, because I got to admit, even as a Knicks fan, there's a clip out there on the VSiN TikTok page and Instagram. I said this team was not a championship team a couple months ago. I didn't believe they'd get here. They've righted the ship. They've advanced the finals. They've done their part. And in the process, they got through the Cleveland Cavaliers. And let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers, John, because earlier today it was reported from one Shams Charania that Kenny Atkinson will be returning next year as the head coach of the Cavs. I was kind of shocked by this. I really thought that they were going to make a move, bring in a different voice, because they invested so much in this roster. And I'm looking at a team that I think on paper is the best in the East. When we talk about depth, when we talk about options, when we just talk about being able to withstand a whole season, I think on paper they're better than the Knicks, but they got outclassed by the Knicks. I'm surprised Atkinson is returning, but I don't believe you share that sentiment with me.
I'm not surprised. The reason I'm not surprised is because they made a coaching change, 2 years ago when they said goodbye to JB Bickerstaff. Atkinson got them to the number one seed. They lost to Indiana. This past year, despite the investment in the roster from a financial standpoint, they're soft. They have a bunch of guys on this team that have incredibly checkered playoff past. Harden is an all-time playoff loser. Donovan Mitchell does not make anybody better. Anybody who's going to sit there and tell me Donovan Mitchell's a better player than Jalen Brunson doesn't watch the same games that I watch. Then, the Evan Mobley narrative and piece of this of, Evan Mobley's so skilled, he's so talented. He disappears. He's nowhere to be found in these games because he's not assertive enough. So, yes, there's quote-unquote talent on the Cavaliers. I think it is very overrated talent, and I think the Knicks are a better team. They're better. They play together as a team. They're tougher. They're more well-rounded. I mean, how many times did you see Donovan Mitchell or James Harden get cooked on defense? You have to take that into account. So when we're talking about Kenny Atkinson, despite the fact that he was incredibly flawed in his logic in making the case that his team should have been up 2-1 in the series because of the analytics, absolute nonsense, as we know. Kenny Atkinson, at least the way I see it, Dusty, I think he got the most out of this roster. They're in the conference finals. I think they're one of the worst conference finals teams I've seen in the East in the last 10 years.
Okay,
that's real talk. I don't think they're particularly good.
No, I'll agree and disagree with you in a couple ways here. The way that I'll agree with, I think adding Harden in the middle of a season, the way he changes everything in terms of the ball flow of the offense, the way the style that he needs to play with, I think it's difficult for a coach to navigate those waters, especially when it's a guy who's going to the Hall of Fame who shows up the least when it matters the most consistently. Like, I don't really have a good comparison in all of sports to James Harden. Someone you can compare and contrast the numbers that tell you he's an all-time great, but he's also all-time bad when it matters the most. So I'll give him a bit of a pass there. But a big issue I have is a lot of these role guys, the cohesiveness wasn't there, because I still stand by the Cavs roster's better. And you said it, the Knicks were a better team. The Cavs weren't a better team. They were a better ensemble of talent, but he never got them to click right away. And I saw some reports last night. You never know how true these are, but looked like from reputable people that some of the role guys were a little bit annoyed that Kenny Atkinson stopped communicating with them during the season and was really only talking to his starters. And to me, it's about bringing the team together. You have to find a way to make that happen. Maybe you give him a little bit more room next year with a full offseason to figure out how he wants to utilize all these pieces. But I thought this team came up pretty short, and they were the favorites to win the Eastern Conference coming into the year. They were the best team on paper to me. And now the question becomes what they look like next year, because you've got James Harden, who's got a big player option for next year. Is he going to be a part of the fold? Is he a part of a trade that brings someone else in? There's rumors out of Cleveland I'm seeing about LeBron maybe coming back. I think a lot of people have talked about that. And then you hit on Evan Mobley. I would sell high on Evan Mobley. I know there's a guy being touted as like a lockdown defender a couple years ago. I ain't seeing it, man. I know he can stretch the floor, but he doesn't show up enough for me. If Evan Mobley can be the key piece for you bringing in Giannis, I would do that in a heartbeat, because someone like Giannis, you know what he does to this team? He takes the pressure off Donovan Mitchell, who's also proving to us that he's not truly a 1A superstar.
And it would add a lot of toughness to their team that is desperately, desperately lacking. If you're LeBron James, though, I mean, in all honesty, Dusty, you want to come back to Cleveland and play on this team?
Here's why.
You watch this series and say to yourself, this is where I want to spend the final year of my career. Now, he may say the nostalgia of it, full circle, return where it all began. Like, if that is your logic, then more power to you. This Cav group is not winning.
No.
Maybe the calculus changes if Giannis is in the fold, but this group as is, this is their apex. They will not get beyond what they've done each of the last 2 years with a 60-something regular season, losing in the second round, and then this past year getting into conference finals. That's maxing out this roster as far as I see it.
Well, here's the thing with LeBron, though, is what's the market for LeBron? Because I don't believe he's staying in with the Lakers. I'm sorry. I think that when they changed ownership, they took their team back. They're not letting him behind the scenes manipulate the media and control the narrative, and also be a deflector of the transition of power to Luka being the leader of this team. So I think he's gone from the Lakers. Outside of Golden State, outside of the Clippers, Cleveland feels like the only landing spot, and he gets to do what he wants to do, play the hero. He gets to go back and say, guys, don't worry, I got you. I got you over the hump once in 2016. I'll come back. I'll be the savior. I'll be the chosen one. Don't worry, LeBron's coming home once again. Because I look at the market out there for LeBron. I don't see many options that are going to be as enticing to win another title on the way out as the Cavaliers are.
Well, and, you could talk about Golden State, where you'd have the idea of him with Steph Curry, and it's these two iconic all-time greats joining forces at the later stage of their career. I don't know what good that's going to do you against SGA and the Thunder. I don't know what good that's going to do you against Wemby or even Denver and Jokic for that matter. So I think it'd be fun to talk about. It'd be cool to see LeBron and Steph on the same team. Championship window, don't see it. Lakers, they were better than I thought they were going to be. I got to give Reddit credit. I actually thought they were incredibly well coached throughout the year. I don't think that team in the Western Conference has a championship window. Dusty, what situation for LeBron James is putting him in a spot where he can go win a championship next year?
I don't know.
You tell me.
I don't know. I'm looking at the prediction markets right now. So 54% he stays with the Lakers or retires. He's not retiring, trust me. He wants that tour. He wants that Mariano treatment where he goes to every city and they give him a chair, they give him a trophy, a guitar, whatever. He wants something for everyone to say, thank you for carrying the NBA for the last 20 plus years. Cleveland's the second spot right now in prediction markets, 32%. So it's about 3-1. You can get plus 313 on LeBron to go back to Cleveland. After that, it's a huge drop-off. It's the Warriors at 8%, the Spurs at 7%, the Knicks at 4%. I'll tell you this, if there was one way to disrupt the Knicks chemistry, it's bringing in the ego of LeBron James. I want no part of that as a Knicks fan.
It's a hard pass for me. Hard pass for me. LeBron James didn't want to come to the Knicks in 2010 when he was at the peak of his powers, his prowess, all of this combined into one at 40, and he still can ball. This is not to say LeBron James can't play. He can go and help a lot of teams. Ain't broke, don't fix it, Nickland, please.
No, I want no part of it at all. So, we're kind of simpatico there. I just think Cleveland offers him a landing spot that makes sense because there just aren't many that's going to leave him on a contending team. The sports calendar, it never stops. The Sharp Plays, they cover it all. They've been winning for 15 straight years. All of it's documented. Logs posted publicly at sharpplays.com. That kind of transparency is rare in this industry. When the Sharp Plays moves, the sports books take notice. Advanced AI, trusted insider intel, they find value before the numbers shift. respected, watched, feared. Start winning with them at sharpplays.com today. He's John Jastremski. I'm Dustin Swedelson. It's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We haven't even hit the ice yet, but don't worry, we'll do it with handicapper Nick Alberga coming up in the final hour of the program. You're about 90 minutes away from that as we got Colorado and VGK. The Knicks swept the Cavaliers. It was surprising. This would be shocking tonight. If the Golden Knights continue this run under John Tortorella and they sweep the Western Conference favorite pretty much since I can remember looking at the odds screen this year, it would be one of the all-time shockers I've seen in a while.
Wish I had a Vegas ticket, Dusty.
Dude.
Wish I had a Vegas ticket.
Dude, had them last year, had them a couple of years ago. I don't think I've ever had them when they've actually gotten to the final and won the cup. It's never worked out for me, but this could be a magical ride for them. And we also have to look back at what went down with Carolina and Montreal last night, where I think one of those teams might be running out of steam as we head towards more games in that series. But when we return, we're hitting the dime and a little baseball coming your way, including a team in a spot that is 16-3-2 to the over. That's next on Follow the Money.